This is the GQ Coaches Show. Now, get ready to chop it up with your hosts, Coaches G and Q, for the real talk in sports.
Hey, you know what time it is. This is Coach Goins of the GQ Coaches Show, and I tell you what, I know Coach Quick is about to have an out-of-body. Coach Quick, what's on tap for us tonight, my friend?
Hey, what's good, Coach G? You want to know what's popping with Coach Q? Well, man, Coach Q is so excited about our very special guest via telephone tonight. I feel like I'm posted up at the 50-yard line in the Georgia Dome, waiting on an outstanding quarterback to come by and chop it up with Coach G and Coach Q. So after this short break, Coach G and I are going to come right back, and we're going to introduce you to our very special guest. So make sure those cleats are laced up tight. Coaches Show, the legendary quarterback, Mr. Michael Vick. Welcome, Mr. Vick, to our show. And I just want to kick out this first question to you. Talk with us about your experience playing for Coach Frank Beamer and the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, and getting to know Coach over the 3 years that I was there was probably one of the best times of my life. And I say that because of the mentorship and the way he handled not just me, but all the guys that I played with, every single young man on that roster, Coach Beamer catered to, whether it was good or bad. He had some type of input or influence in our lives. And so, we respected him and we appreciated everything that he ever done for us. And, at the end of the day, that's why you see so many guys go back up to Blacksburg. We respect, the foundation that Coach Beamer built.
Absolutely. Coach Beamer is certainly a Hall of Fame coach. In my book, he's a legend. And the one thing about Coach Beamer, anytime Virginia Tech played the game, it was all about Beamer ball. Special teams was his MO. You had to be great on special teams. And the Virginia Tech Hokies defense was always on top. And then, of course, yourself. Man, Mr. Vick, outstanding body of work at Virginia Tech. Man, I enjoyed watching you play. Watched you play against Florida State in a national championship game. Outstanding ball game. Man, just keep chopping it up and doing what you do.
Okay. All right. Well, man, I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to continue to, everything that you just said, man. I really appreciate. As you was making your remarks, I just think back to, just how coaches viewed us and we just all tried to, it was all an investment for everybody. And, coaches invested in the players and the players investing in what the coaches was preaching. And the ones who did that, went on and had, great careers, whether it was in the NFL or in life in general. And so, we all try to, do the best that we can, especially when we're young, to help others. And so, I definitely want to pay it forward one day in my life, to give kids the opportunity to be successful in the game of football, understanding knowledge, wisdom, understanding it, and be great football players. So, whatever contribution I can have in the future, I look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Coach Quick, man, here's where I want to go. I don't know if you had the
sir.
opportunity, but, me living in Virginia, I slide down to Virginia Tech, the Castle Coliseum, to check out some basketball games. But I've had the opportunity to be on what we call in Virginia the Michael Vick Expressway, right? So they go in and they reroute this whole expressway. So when I roll in, as soon as I make that turn, the sign says, Virginia Tech exit here. So what's that feel like, Mr. Vick, when you hear somebody say the Michael Vick Expressway? What goes through your mind when I mention it?
Yeah, well, it's just a lot of hard work and dedication, that was put in terms of trying to be the best that I could be, and coming from where I come from and the dream that I dreamt as a kid, it was all about, making it to the National Football League. And, when you're a kid, you don't know if your dream will come true. You just know you got to go through all these different levels to get to where you want to go. And so I guess, from the time I was, 8 years old, and I like to laugh about it when I found out that you can make, a lot of money playing football. I felt like I figured out what I wanted to be in life and what I wanted to do. And so that football became everything to me. It was like a chunk of gold. And so, I just cherished it. I appreciated it. I loved it. And it was always that way. So, knowing that I paved the way for so many to come through Virginia Tech, whether it's through roads or recruiting, getting some of the best kids in the country, I'm just appreciative that God put me in that situation.
You know what? That's well said. Coach Quick, man, is that you in the back of the end zone, Coach Quick?
Absolutely. Ready to toss out this next question. Mr. Vick, you just talked about your 8-year-old self. So my next question to you is, what player or quarterback did you most want to be like growing up, or who did you most pattern your game after?
As a kid, as an 8-year-old, I didn't know what I was watching. I didn't know what position I wanted to play. I started out at running back and then played quarterback. I started out at receiver, then played quarterback, then played running back in 3 years, and then ended up having to play quarterback, when I was like 11 to 12. That year, we won a Super Bowl. I played good enough that the coach the next year wanted me to play quarterback. And so, I never wanted to be a quarterback growing up, but, by the time I started to look at, okay, what does this position really entail? Like, I'm really getting good at it, so what players can I watch? When I cut the TV on Sundays that play like me. And the only person that I could find at the time was Steve Young and Randall Cunningham, the only two. Steve, because he was left-handed, he threw left-handed like me, so I paid attention to that. And so,
yes, sir.
So I idolized Steve Young, to say the least.
Yeah, later on in this interview, we're going to play this game called a name game. And I threw Steve Young's name out there because I just had this gut feeling that I felt like you probably patterned your game after Steve Young. Left-handed quarterback. He moved around in the pocket, got away, same things that you used to do. So I just felt like, okay, yeah, this is a comparison that I can see. Mike Steve.
Absolutely. Yeah, Steve was the man. I love him to this day. As a man, as a player, as a person. He's great.
Absolutely. Coach Steve, I'll kick it over to you.
Well, I got to go here, man. Yeah, I just got to go. If I don't go here and y'all talk about San Francisco, I got to ask this question to Mr. Vick. How was it playing for the legendary Mike Tomlin?
It was fun. It was really fun, man. Every day I love coming to our team meetings just to hear Mike Tomlin express his thoughts, whether it was on football or life, or if it was somebody coming in late, or if it was somebody not paying attention to detail, or if it was somebody just not respecting somebody in like the cafeteria or something. It was always, 5 to 10 minutes of just good schooling, and it's like sitting listening to your dad talking. You can do that all day if he's talking with sense, and we know Mike Tomlin makes sense. So, not only that, he was a good teacher. He was on the defensive side of the ball, so I didn't spend a lot of time with him because I played on the offense. And so I spent more time with Todd Haley than anything with him being the offensive coordinator. And then Big Ben and I forget my guy's name, Landry Jones, who ended up playing. So it was a good experience, though. We had a lot of fun, man, and Mike Tomlin made it be known that it was a winning atmosphere at all costs, and we do what it takes to win. So it was the Pittsburgh way. It was really cool.
Yes, sir. Coach Quick, you heard that, right? He said, and of course, Mr. Vick, I'm a huge Steeler fan, so I'm just rubbing it in on Coach Quick since he's by way of the Commander. So, Coach Quick, man, I'm going to kick it to you for the next question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vick, I got to go here. How did it feel for you being the first ever African-American quarterback taken number 1 overall in the 2001 NFL draft?
It felt great. Like, it was a dream come true. Like, I never thought, like, in a million years that I would be drafted number 1. I just wanted to be drafted in one of the 7 rounds. That's all I ever asked for and prayed for. And so, to go in the first round, it's like it's a real feeling. It's like something that you could never even think of or dream of. Like, it's unrealistic to dream that, but you can dream it. But it's really unrealistic. And so I dreamt it. I dreamt of making it. God just added a bonus to it, and that was to be number 1.
Wow. Well said. Well said.
Yes, sir. Now, my next question. In many people's eyes, You changed the way the quarterback position is played. What are your thoughts on that? And how did it feel for you hearing talented kids coming out of high school and college wanting to be like Mike Vick?
And that was really cool too because I wanted to be like Steve Young, wanted to be like Randall Cunningham. I never played in the backyard and said, when I make it, I want a kid that want to be like me or play like me. I never said that. So God blessed me with a talent that allowed me to play a different style of football, a different brand of football that kids said, I want to be like him. And so that's just another bonus. The only thing you can do is thank God for that. And, I had a lot of coaches who poured into me to make me a great player, to help, at least to help the football team win. And that was important. So, that was just all the attributes coming out at the right time.
Yes, sir. Coach G, I'll kick it back over to you.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go here, right? I gotta go here. I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Vick, when you were drafted to the Atlanta Falcons, I happen to be living in Atlanta, and I'm here to tell you, I want you to know I had them pair of them Mike Vick sneakers, them Nike ones, the black ones with the red, and I'm a little bit older than you all, so I'm an old head. But in that, I want to just thank you for just what you did on the field. I mean, it was so electrifying when I was in Atlanta, and my son was a little fella. And now, as I look over my shoulder, he knew that you were going to be on the show, and he stopped by the house yesterday and went in the closet and pulled it out. And as I look over my right shoulder, I see that number 7 jersey hanging on that I've got him when he was a kid, and he was so excited. He's refereeing basketball now, and so he was leaving, and he was like, man, Daddy said, I can't believe you guys gonna have on Mike Vick. So just from my son to your career, he just wants to give you a shout out. But here's where I want to go. How did you learn to throw the football basically just at a flick of a wrist?
Throwing the ball every day. That's it's something that's it comes together through like just repetition, like doing the same thing over and over again. Once again, another bonus from God, one of God's gifts. And so, it's not something that, like, I can't teach a kid how to have a flick of a wrist throwing motion. It's just not possible. So, just another thing that I was, sometimes it wasn't, my arm was too strong. At times it wasn't the most accurate. And so, I appreciate the arm. It's not as accurate, but yeah, it was just another added bonus that I had to be able to throw the ball accurately.
Well, you know what? I certainly enjoyed that, Coach Quick. I don't know what he was doing to your skins, right? But man, he get that ball and he come dropping back. So here's where I want to go before I kick it back to Coach Quick. What's the longest you've ever thrown the ball, yardage wise?
I think I threw it about 84 yards in the air one time. Against Boston College, yeah. Virginia Tech versus Boston College, 1999. I think it was sometime day after Thanksgiving. That's all I know.
Wow.
You Google that, it'll take you right to it.
Wow. 84 yards.
Full game.
Good. Now, boy, I tell you what, I'm sitting here, and Coach Quick, I don't know about you, dude. I'm smiling ear to ear. So what we're going to do, we're going to step away, pay a few bills, but who we have on is none other than legendary NFL quarterback, Mr. Mike Vick, and we'll be right back.
What's up? This is Mike Vick, and you listen to the GQ Coaching Show.
Hey, this is Pete Chilcutt, North Carolina Tar Heel and NBA champion. You're listening to the GQ Coaching Show.
This is John Eisenberg, author of Rocket Men, the Black Quarterbacks Who Revolutionized Pro Football. And you are listening to the GQ Coaches Show, the real talk in sports.
Hey, this is Chris Spatola, and you're listening to the GQ Coaches Show on the real talk in sports.
Hey, we're back in. This is Coach Goins along with Coach Quick and our very special guest, NFL legend, none other than quarterback Mike Vick. Coach Quick, what you got?
Yes, sir. Mr. Vick, we play this game called the name game on the show. I'm going to toss a couple of names out to you, and you just give us your thoughts. First name, Miss Kiafa Vick.
Love of my life. Most beautiful person in the world.
Yes, sir. Next name, Miss Brenda Vick.
Love of my life. The most beautiful person in the world.
Yes, sir.
Y'all 2 for 2. Nice.
Yes, sir. Next name, Michael Bodie.
Okay. To my dad. You know, very appreciative of my dad. Love him to death. He's been a big inspiration in my life over the last 2 years for a lot of reasons. And so, you know, I'm hoping the best for him and trying to help him become a better person, just like I'm trying to become a better person.
Yes, sir. Next name, Casey Vick.
Casey's a beautiful soul who gave me my first job as a young painter. You know,
Amen.
I worked with him in his company, his paint business. When I was a kid, helped put money in my pocket, helped keep me off the street, and he always cared about me as a nephew. I always respected him as an uncle, and I love him to this day. And so, you know, thank God that you had a connection with him because he brought this together.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Thank God for that's
All right. I'm going to throw one more name out to you. You touched on Steve Young earlier, so I'm going to throw this name out, Donovan McNabb.
Donovan McNabb, a great friend of mine. I'm actually on the way to interview Donovan for a project we have coming out that's going to air on Amazon called Quarterback Evolution, which features black quarterbacks and, the evolution of the position.
Yes, sir.
He's a good friend, great quarterback. Very humorous guy. Type of dudes you want to be around all the time, make you laugh, and just got a lot of perspective and was a really, really good football player. People don't acknowledge the fact that Donovan went to four or five NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. And I think when you have that type of career, you can't be upset. You can only be proud of what you accomplished in life. And so, whether you're not accomplishing the Super Bowls or getting the ring, you still won a lot of games to say that when I played, I dominated.
Wow.
Yes, sir. All right, now, that closes out the name game, but I just wanted to run back on something real quick. Your wife, Ms. Kiapa Vick, me and you share something in common, Mike. My wife's name is Kiapa as well. And also my
wife's name Kiapa?
Yes, sir.
That's wild.
Wow.
It is.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yes, sir. And me and you share the same first name.
Michael, wow, that's crazy.
It is. And the only two women in the world that I know named Kiapa is my wife and your wife.
Watch out.
Yeah, because I never heard of another person in the 21 years that I've known her. Never heard of another Kiapa. I heard of plenty of Michaels.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's really cool. Really cool to hear, man, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Really cool to hear.
Appreciate it, Mr. Vick. Coach D, I'll kick it to you for the next question.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, folks, as we start to wrap everything out, we got a couple more that we want to hit, Coach, I say Coach thinking about my co-host, we want to hit Mr. Vick with, is number one, I got to go here. If the NIL was back in the day, what do you think, what kind of records do you think you would have been setting with the NIL deal?
I think I would have been up there with maybe, some of the top guys.
Yes, sir.
I don't know too many of the good, the great football players in college football who's getting NIL, but I do know or would think that maybe Shador Sanders, from what, I've heard, rightfully so, and a couple other kids are getting top-notch NIL deals. I know a couple kids but you just never know what those numbers are. But a guy like Shador, and these top guys across the country, they can be in the millions for sure. Wow. And so, if I played in that time, this time, I don't know what it would have been. Hopefully it would have been fair market value. I know. Probably would have stayed in school, and I probably would have stayed in school another year because I wasn't ready to leave Virginia Tech when it was time to come out. I wanted to come back for another year, so this allows these kids to play, college football, enjoy it. try to win a national championship if that's what they desire, and just put them in that position where they don't have to stress over money or family or anything like that. So it's just a luxury for college football players, and it's great to see us in this era right now.
Exactly. All right, Coach Quick, I'll kick it to you for your last question.
Yes, sir. I got to go here, Mr. Vick. It's a two-part question. What are your thoughts on Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffs? And would you ever consider getting into coaching at the collegiate level or in the NFL?
Yeah, I think Coach Prime has done great. I don't think anybody's surprised or shocked that Deion Sanders is one of the greatest football players ever. Is one of the best college football coaches in the country. He's always been great at what he do. Deion is great when he speaks, and so like he's like somebody that I will follow. And so we have a good relationship. I'm following him closely, and yes, I would definitely or would pursue an opportunity in the future. Just got to be prepared for it. You got to understand what's at stake, the magnitude of it. What you're getting into. You got to love kids, most importantly. You got to love pouring into kids.
That's
and so, it's part of the reason I have camps every year, whether it's in Georgia, Virginia, Florida. I attend 4 or 5 camps. And every time I leave a football camp, I leave and I'm sad because I always wish I could work with that kid for, a month or 3 months. Or, I hate working with kids for one day, correcting mistakes, watching them get better in 8 hours, and then having to send them off, and then be so many of them you can't keep track. So maybe one day God will bless me with the opportunity to spend some time with some kids that want to learn football, want to be great, and aspire to be great leaders of men, as I aspire to be. So yes, hopefully that'll happen one day for sure.
Yes, sir. We're speaking it into existence, and I just like to say to you, I'm praying for you, and I'm praying for your father as well. And I bid you Godspeed in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So on behalf of myself, I'll have my closing comments. That we'll toss it over to Mr. Vick for his. But listen, we want to, number one, thank you so much for taking time out. Folks that don't realize, Mr. Vick is out on the West Coast because he's on Fox on Sunday. He agreed to jump on the show Monday. He's actually on the way to the airport now. With this conversation was taking place via telephone. So with that, I'll kick it over to Mr. Vick for his closing comments.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Unc for allowing this to happen. Or making it happen, I'll say. God allowed it to happen. And so, you guys asked amazing questions, and, I wish the best for you guys and your show moving forward. And, hopefully, y'all continue to get great guests and have fun when you on this type of platform, because you have a voice and you can speak to a lot of people, and I think that's really important. So, thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. I don't get the chance to do this all the time. Maybe for 17 weeks during the season, and then, a couple radio shows here and there. So it's always really cool to get on and share your thoughts. And so appreciate it, man. Y'all keep up the good work.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. And you always got an open invitation. So anytime you want to chop it up, anytime you're in VA, anytime you're close to Charlottesville, you got my number. Hit me up. I'll take you to dinner. And then we can, matter of fact, we'll even call Unc. We'll have Casey come up and join us. So, all right. So with that, Coach Quick, get us to the locker room.
Coach Goins, our very special guest, the legendary Mr. Michael Vick, and for myself, Coach Quick, we'll see you in the locker room.
You have been listening to the GQ Coaches Show with Coaches G and Goss, the real talk in sports.